Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Pro AV Today. I'm your host, Ben Thomas. As we approach trade show season, you're going to hear a lot more announcements from people announcing partnerships and acquisitions and equity investments and all sorts of different things. And on the surface, it might seem like, oh, this is just to make more money and to generate more business, which, yes, is true. But there's also layers underneath that. There's geographic expansion, there's vertical expansion, there's product and R&D capabilities. And I wanted to talk today a little bit more in depth about that specifically, that second layer underneath. And to talk about that a little bit more is my next guest, an EVP over at AtlasIED, and that's Matt Czyzewski. Matt, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah, great to be here, Ben.
You know, Matt, I want to start kind of on a high level, right? Obviously, some fantastic news and partnerships and equity investments coming out of the world of AtlasIED recently. Everybody from folks on the security side of the house to audio beamforming capabilities, things like that. I want to ask at a high level, what are some of the reasons that have initiated these conversations? I mean, is it the R&D? Is it the global capabilities? What are some of the reasons typically that a manufacturer like AtlasIED, might look at some of these partnerships?
Yeah, well, on the surface, you look at a partnership from the standpoint of, are you better together than apart? Number one, is there a win-win? And then what are the benefits to everyone coming together? And it can be a number of things. I mean, clearly, one of the things that everyone always thinks about is revenue. Um, Certainly, that, let's face it, we're all in business, so that plays into the conversation. But the R&D capabilities is certainly a big one because, as we all know, that's a very competitive field. Gaining talent in that marketplace in that space of engineering in general is hard, no matter where you're at, no matter where you're at in the world. Um, so getting that kind of talent on board. The other one of the ones you hit on, which I think is often overlooked, is uh, global market reach. So what does it do differently? Not only the product, the technology, but perhaps the people that are joining your team. Are they better at something than you globally, or do they have better presence in certain countries or certain areas of North America or what have you? So certainly market presence, market um, capabilities, and so on play into it a lot. And and the one that on the technology side that often I think about, and I'm sure others do as well when they look at this, is it's the one opportunity you have to buy time. So if someone else has already developed a technology that you can see working in your world of business, even at, let's say, it's security versus pro AV, in terms of maybe there's two that can come together or what have you. Um, if they've already developed that, you're buying time at that point, because now you can fold that into your portfolio, and both companies can come together and start to reap the benefits of that technology more globally or more market wide than before. So those are some things that are always considered, I think, well, at least for me, when I'm looking at these kinds of opportunities.
Matt, you brought up, the world of security, and it's one of the places really that I would say that AtlasIED has done a fantastic job growing into, right? AtlasIED, a 90-year-old company, coming from the world of traditional commercial pro AV, but especially recently doing fantastic work, not only in the world of security, but transportation, so many different places. you know, I would even say that AtlasIED is a leader for a lot of those outward conversations and a lot of those outward industries. How have acquisitions specifically, helped branch out into some of those even tangential industries?
Well, our first foray into the security side of the world happened with IPX. Really, that's what that particular product line kind of took us in that direction. Um, Whether it was meant to be or by accident or what have you, because certainly there was um, we were coming at it from a school market standpoint, and then hey, here's some other tangential areas where this technology makes a ton of sense. And so a lot of homegrown stuff there, and then the recent partnership with IntelliSea is really where, taking it to the next level in terms of security and what we're doing in that from that side on the video side and tied it into the audio side. So exciting stuff from that perspective.
Well, absolutely. And I want to ask too, whether it's an equity investment, partnership, acquisition outright, it gives you the opportunity to expand maybe some of your subject matter expertise in some of these verticals, right? And specifically from the human side of things, it gives you access to maybe new integrator channels or maybe even new sales folks in a lot of new ways. How are these partnerships empowering that collaboration across kind of the human and staffing side of things as well?
Yeah, that's a great question and perspective, because that is one of the benefits. You meet these people that you may or may not have known before, and you find out where their expertise is, and they point out blind spots that you're like, oh, interesting, didn't even think about that. Um, so when you come in on and I know we've had some of those aha moments in our partnership with IntelliSea, where on both sides, where as we're learning more, we go, oh, interesting, didn't think about that. And then talking to those people that have the experience in that area and why it's important. So I'm being a little coy there because I don't want to give away all the hidden gems there.
Well, no, I appreciate that too, and one of the unique things as you expanded a lot of those different industries, there are different requirements and certifications and compliances that exist even outside of the world of traditional commercial AV. Security is one of those, right? You've got all sorts of different certifications, and TAA compliance for a lot of folks is really big in that industry. Even on a high level, we don't have to go into specifics, but how do those partnerships really help impact a lot of those product design processes, especially now saying, look, I want Dante, I want this for my commercial side, but hey, I need to worry about IP certification and all these different things in maybe the world of traditional security and even healthcare and all these different places.
The simple answer to that is, yeah, we suddenly have to start to consider all of those things. And sometimes what happens is, you can claim ignorance only for so long, and then you realize, oh gosh, we do have to do that. Oh no, because anyone that's dealt with regulatory industries or compliance and things, it's one of those things. It's a must. It's a must do. It's a must have. Um, but it's not always a fun process. you know, Especially on the product development side, it can sometimes be cumbersome. But it's necessary, and we recognize we have to do that.
Well, it's so fun too. I mean, and Atlas isn't the only exclusive person who's trying to expand a lot of different industries. But I'll say this. I've been really impressed with the Atlas organization's willingness to have conversations and ask questions that help you know guide some of those processes and developments. Whereas a lot of times, and this is a generic blanket statement, I'm not calling anybody out specifically, but a lot of folks in the traditional kind of AV community have looked more to shoehorn their existing products into different applications, right? And one of the things that I want to call out that you guys do really well specifically is asking those questions and taking that feedback and making products specifically and services that are geared towards those communities. And I want to ask too, even geographically, right? And I know we mentioned it, and you guys are doing so many great things internationally. Fantastic work in China, obviously, Europe, even here in the States and North America, obviously. But how do those partnerships expand maybe some of those geographical and international capabilities as well, especially from a delivery and even just a prospect standpoint?
Yeah, good question. So I can speak uh, directly to that in regards to the our equity stake in Aimline, and they're in Warendorf, Germany, which is just a little east of Munster, to give you some geographic location, because probably everyone's wondering where in the heck is Warendorf. I asked the same question at the beginning, um, but there they were very European focused, and even Asia Pacific focused more so than North America. AtlasIED traditionally has been very focused in the North American market. While we do international market, it hasn't been as strong. So certainly bringing people on with that experience, that foothold in the marketplace in Europe, EU, Asia Pac, thinking about that, that right away we have a whole new depth of abilities in the EU that we didn't have before, and we augmented that with by bringing on a director of sales for the EU as well. So, or actually for EMEA. So by bringing all that stuff together, it's upped our game. I'll put it that way in the international space.
Well, out of curiosity, I know that you guys are doing some fantastic work, like I said, globally. When you talk about partnerships maybe that exist outside of North America, what are some of those considerations that might pop up, right? I immediately go to things like GDPR compliance in Europe, where there's, privacy laws are different, business laws are different, tax laws are different, things like that. How do you go about navigating those waters of those global partnerships versus maybe just some of those North American-based ones?
You got to find good lawyers on the other side that speak the language.
That's a great answer.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to, because you brought up the privacy laws. Those are all things that end up getting written into documents that we would just do differently here in North America. So whether two of the ones that were certainly front of mind, because in the last 2 years we've worked on them, is the one with Fine Audio. They're in Scotland, and that's a fun one because you have Scottish laws and you have UK laws that all, and they don't necessarily all intertwine. So you need a firm that understands the whole thing, and even though it's the same language, there's still things that have to be explained a little bit differently. And then doing things in Germany, clearly, language is different, laws are different, so you need boots on the ground that you can trust there to guide you through it. And without that, it'd be very difficult.
Well, and out of curiosity too, I mean, it's not a secret that our industry likes to acquire and establish partnerships, and you see that really ramp up throughout the summer and through trade show season. But I want to ask from an Atlas perspective, and you don't have to go crazy into detail in it, but how do those partnerships go about kind of starting? Right? Are they organic conversations? Are they targeted conversations? How typically do those start?
The easy answer to that is it depends, because sometimes they're targeted, and well, let's put it this way: most companies probably have some type of strategic plan, whatever that is. It could be super detailed, could be very high level, whatever companies are comfortable with. So normally you're going to go out and target things that fit the strategic plan. Makes sense. That's what you plan for. That's why you fill that in. The it depends part comes from, hey, what if something comes on the radar that you weren't anticipating, you didn't see it, it sparks interest. All of a sudden it's like, hey, that kind of makes sense. Maybe it doesn't fit the exact strategic plan at the moment. Maybe you pivot because you see a benefit 2-3 years down the road, or maybe it's immediate. So that sometimes is an opportunity comes along and you make a decision. You make a corporate decision. Do we deviate from plan to do this, or do we say no? And that's where the it depends part comes in, I think.
Well, and look, that's a byproduct of good leadership too, right? Being able to be agile and flexible, but also kind of steer everybody back towards the direction, right? And it's cool to see, especially even post COVID, which obviously was a massive accelerant for an adoption of a lot of these technologies. There are some companies really like you guys who have made those investments and continue to adapt really, really well. And then there are folks who haven't, right? And there are folks who haven't established those partnerships. There are folks who, for one reason or another, have been very content with how they've been, and you see those folks who are willing to have the conversations and talk about partnerships and things like that are driving more value and revenue across different communities. And I want to commend you guys for doing that. One question I did want to ask, though, as we kind of wrap here, have we seen the latest from AtlasIED? Is there more on the horizon? Is there more development, more markets? You don't have to get into specifics. I don't want you to break any crazy news on this show, but can we expect more?
Well, don't have to get into specifics. People that know me know that I never give away anything that's going on. So I won't do that. But what I will, in terms of specifics, what I will say is, it's one of those things that as we look at things, as opportunities come along, we're always going to take a look. Doesn't mean it's a foregone conclusion that something will happen, but sometimes it makes sense to at least look, and so we're always going to look at opportunities.
Hey, that's a great way to do business. That's a good business strategy. Always stay up to date and always have the conversation. But I'll tell you what, Matt, I appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the AtlasIED crew throughout the rest of trade show season and learn a little bit more about some of the newer capabilities and things that you guys have partnered with and organizations and capabilities that will be coming out in the near future. So, Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
My pleasure, Ben. Appreciate it.
And thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Check us out next time on Pro AV Today.